last week about the Clippers' late game issues. They look like a bunch of talented guys at the YMCA that have never played together. The last 6 minutes against Dallas, a reminder, Dallas is a poor defensive team. The last 6 minutes, the Clippers were 2 of 12 and 0 for 7 on threes. This is a problem. This was the redeem game. It's just they brought in Rondo to fix this. Because I live in Los Angeles, the Clippers, all their games are on, and I see a lot of Clippers basketball. This is a bad late game basketball team. They'll blow you out from time to time, but if it's close, the fact that Dallas's defense gave them issues is a problem.
Where Colin was wrong.
What's fair is fair. I got to give credit to Chris Middleton of the Bucks. He hit a big shot. Now, my problem with Chris is always he's not a great player. He's a very good player. His career average is, like 17. He's about a 19-point-a-game guy. Last year, without Drew Holiday, they needed him to be great. He's good. So when you ask a player to step up a level that he's not, you're disappointed. But he is a shot maker. And now that's what they need him to be. He's their third best player, and he's very valuable because you cannot trust Giannis at the free throw line to hit a three. Yesterday, he couldn't even hit twos. So this is what Middleton can do. He can hit shots. Don't ask him to be a number 2 and drop 32 a night. That's not what he's going to do in the playoffs. But he can hit shots, and he deserves credit because I've been banging on him for years.
Where Colin was right.
About half dozen times a year, I say, sports is actually now mostly dominated by old guys. Saban, Bruce Arians, Tom Brady, LeBron James, Andy Reid. Now it's Phil Mickelson. Careers last longer than ever now because you can spend money, easier to stay in shape, and Mickelson looked like the best shape he's been in at 50 for a long time. It was a wonderful moment. I know we always want to bury the old guys, but there is something embraceable about what I saw yesterday. The old guys can still be great. Not every week and not every night and not every golf tournament. But when they want to bring it, they can be the best in field.
Where Colin was wrong.
I would have voted Chris Paul first or second in my All-Star or in my MVP ballot. He didn't even get nominated. He wasn't even one of the 3 nominees. It went to Steph Curry. It went to Joel Embiid, who missed 21 games, and it went to Jokic. I don't know. First of all, Chris Paul played 70 of 72 games. Second of all, even yesterday when he hurt his shoulder and could not shoot, his value being on the floor is so substantial. He's a great defender. He shows up every night. His leadership skills late in games. How is Phoenix this good late in games with all these kids? They're good because of Chris Paul late. They weren't the previous 11 years. I got nothing against Steph, but you got to kind of make the playoffs for me to think you're an MVP, and the Warriors weren't really good this year. So I have missed on Chris Paul. I find that NBA voters prefer the story or the stats over the word valuable, so Chris Paul gets snubbed.
Where Colin was right.
Maybe it's because I worked in Portland, but does everybody understand how good Dame Lillard is? If he played in San Francisco, New York, L.A., he would be the toast of the league. There's only one other player in the history of the NBA that has won a series on a last-second shot twice. Dame and Michael Jordan. First of all, he may be, along with Steph, the best pure shooter in the league. He may be the best clutch player in the league. But the NBA just buries him. Their game Saturday night was on at 10:30 Eastern. That's when it started. On a Saturday night. Yeah, everybody in New York's hanging around a TV set at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. He is a remarkable closer. Honestly, I say, outside of Steph, one shot to win any game. I take him over LeBron. I take it. Giannis, Embiid, even Chris Paul. One shot to win a game. Ice in his veins, as clutch as anybody the league has had shooting a basketball late in the last decade.
Where Colin was wrong.
I was a Zion guy over a Ja Morant guy, but I will say this. This kid is insane. And also, it is a guard league. The hand check is gone. Ja Morant can get to the basket anytime he wants. against anybody. You can't defend him. He carried his team to the playoffs this year. He carried him into the playoff game last year, and as much as I like Zion, he's nowhere to be found the last 2 years. Friday night at Golden State, the kid was sensational. The world's watching him, right? 35, 5 for 10 on threes, and he outplayed Steph. Now, he was just more efficient than Steph was. So I'm a Zion guy. Zion's personality, the strength in which he plays, feels like a face of the league. But in turn, Jaws had no injury, so I don't have to worry about the injury thing. And the other thing is, he's a true point. When you're a true point, you control it's a quarterback. You control the tempo of the entire game. The kid is just, I think as Chris Broussard said an hour ago, he's Westbrook, but plays more under control, has a better feel for the game than Westbrook. I know I'm banging on Westbrook, but the kid's really a natural point. Westbrook's just a great athlete.
Where Colin was right.
Greg Popovich and Greg Popovich's ego nowhere to be found in the playoffs. He refuses to evolve. You got to shoot threes. You got to. I mean, it's the reality. It's no longer a running league in the NFL. You got to pass the ball 50% of the time because that's what the Andy Reids do. That's what the good teams do. That's what the Bruce Arians do. That's what the Sean Paytons do. 7 years, no titles. 3 years, no relevance. They gave Kawhi away in a trade. Why? Because Popovich was upset the way Kawhi wouldn't buy into his system. I've said this before. Tony La Russa, Bobby Knight. The old guys that stay relevant, like Nick Saban, evolve. Mike Krzyzewski evolves. If you fall in love with yourself or your system, you'll get irrelevant really fast in sports. And that's what Pop and the Spurs are now.
Where Colin was right.
The Patriots signed quarterback Brian Hoyer. Translation, Jarrett Stidham is out. Cam, Mac Jones, and Brian Hoyer will be the rotation. Nothing against Jarrett Stidham, the Auburn kid, but he wasn't great in college. Every ESPN analyst I know ESPN's based up near the Patriots headquarters, kept telling me, practice. There's a lot. And I kept saying, I watched him in college. He's okay. They do decent size, okay arm. But I have this theory, and it's on Jordan Love too. If you can't practice with a football team for a year, and I don't hear a buzz about you, you don't got it. You were hearing a buzz about Mahomes. Peter Schrager was telling me about Patrick Mahomes a year before he played. You heard a buzz about Garoppolo. You heard, this kid Garoppolo. If you can practice for a year, and I hear nothing, I see nothing, there is nothing. So Brian Hoyer, Cam, and Mac Jones appear to be the rotation at quarterback. Good stuff. Lakers do have a little conflict with the LeBron AD thing, and